collaboration with the Cyprus Mail, this is the Cyprus News Digest with Rosie Charalambous.
Coming up on the programme this week, there's interest from other countries in an upcoming cleantech bootcamp, but not so much from Cypriots.
There is interest, it's expanding, but it's not easy to change the mentality, because that's something you probably have to start from primary school, of making people think and questioning everything and going into what can I do about climate change.
The European Commission is funding free public Wi-Fi hotspots.
That will allow you to set a Wi-Fi hotspot in a public space, be it a library, be it a park, as you say, and then people can just walk in there and have internet access on their mobiles, on their laptops, for free.
Eric Clapton fans are in for a treat next week.
To create this event in light of the release of the latest documentary, Life in 12 Bars, honoring the life and music of Eric Clapton. It's a wonderful autobiographical documentary.
And the third Nicosia Medieval Festival starts tomorrow.
The purpose was to promote Nicosia as a cultural destination and project its medieval past.
The biggest cleantech event in our region is taking place at the end of May. It's organised by local company Chrysalis Leap, from where Alex Charalambous joins us to explain what the bootcamp they're organising will involve.
The bootcamp, as you said, is one of the biggest events that's happening in our region. It's specifically targeting cleantech ideas, cleantech startups, cleantech entrepreneurs. Cleantech, just to make it clear, is anything that has to do with protecting the environment. It has to do with renewable energy, it has to do with recycling. So the aim of this bootcamp is to bring people, corporates, entrepreneurs from the region, not only from Cyprus, from Middle East, North Africa, and for 1 week to train them on how they can start a business.
How do you do that? I know you've got experts coming in from all over the world, actually, to mentor them. But can you sort of talk us through how the bootcamp works? Suppose I've been accepted. My idea is considered by you guys when you make the selection to be one with possibilities. And then I turn up. Where is the bootcamp for a start? And then what do we do?
Yes. Basically, the bootcamp is a 1 week long program. It officially starts 9 in the morning to 6 in the afternoon, but it goes until 2 in the morning because you have to work after all the training. It's going to happen in Nicosia, in the old part, at the cultural center of the Bank of Cyprus. It's 1 week long because it's pardoned after the MIT boot camps that they do at Boston. It's based on the methodology of discipline entrepreneurship by Bill Olet, one of the professors at MIT, basically at the Martin Trust of Entrepreneurship. And 2 of the educators that we are bringing from MIT are actually teaching the same material at MIT. The first days is getting to know each other, form your teams, discuss about ideas, why do we want to work on this idea, how does it protect the environment. And slowly you get into more about who is your customer, why would a customer want to buy my technology, how do I make profit out of it, how do I protect the environment out of it, and so on.
So a business model as
exactly,
well as
yes. It's exactly patterned after the discipline entrepreneurship methodology. And at the last day you present it in front of a panel of investors where they give you feedback basically. It's not a competition, there is no winner or loser. It's a training, it's a networking activity. You won't come because, I will pitch my idea in front of investor. You will come to meet other people that will help you move your idea a step further.
So that you can in the future pitch it to an investor.
Exactly. It does happen where at MIT that people did find an investment, but that's not the usual scenario.
And one assumes that the majority of people taking part in this are relatively young. But that's not always the case, is it?
Not at all. It could be a 16-year-old that has a great idea and wants to meet other people that will help him or her make a reality out of his idea. But it could also be, a 50, 60, 70-year-old that either has an idea or that has the skills to help someone with an idea to progress it. It could be a great programmer, it could be someone with lobbying power, or someone working in a bank, for example, and knows everything about financial modeling and wants to help someone younger with a startup idea. How do you do all this financial planning for your idea?
Okay, but just a minute. The people who are applying for the boot camp presumably are the ones with the ideas.
You could have an idea, or you would like to work on an idea to help climate change. So if someone has nothing to do with the environment, doesn't care about the environment, then no, this bootcamp is not for them. But even if you don't have an idea, but you have the skills that you could help people with ideas in climate, let's say climate ideas, then this bootcamp is for you.
So you would then, team up that person
Exactly.
with one of the people with an idea?
Yes, the first day, that's the whole idea about the bootcamp. The first day, it's presenting yourself, what I can offer to the fellow bootcampers, what do I want to gain out of this bootcamp, what experiences I have, what I can offer, and then through team building exercises on the first day, the teams are being formed.
Okay, let's move a little step ahead, because Chrysalis Leap also organises on a yearly basis,
Yes.
I think for several years, the competitions,
Yes.
which then send people to Europe for angel investments and so on. So
Yes.
how does this feed into that?
That it's what you're referring to is the climate launchpad competition that we are also running this year. There you need to have an established team. So you have an idea with a team, and again you receive some kind of training. So teams that emerge from this bootcamp could in the future apply either for the Climate Launchpad competition or for our other accelerator programs. One main difference is that this bootcamp is not only for Cypriots, it's open globally. We already have applications from Egypt, from Israel, for Portugal, and we'll see from which other countries.
I'm sure you'll forgive me for saying that I don't see a great deal of interest in Cyprus in climate change. How many applications have you had from Cypriot startups who want to tackle our environmental problems?
The problem with Cyprus, and especially the scientists and the engineers, is they're accustomed in the academic world. And it's very hard to get them out of the academic world and bring them into the business side, where they see their ideas becoming a business. There is interest. There is, over the last few years that we've been doing different courses, there is interest. It's expanding, but it's not easy to change the mentality, because that's something you probably have to start from primary school, of making people think and questioning everything and going into what can I do about climate change. You can't go to a 30-year-old and say, all the things you knew so far are wrong, and this is the new way of how things should work. It will take time. We're not doing this with a horizon of 1 or 2 or 5 years. This is a project of 10 and 20 years, and that's when the real results will start kicking in.
How do you select? Because you have only a limited number of places. So how do you select who actually gets a seat?
We have about 50 places. More than that, it starts becoming a bit unmanageable to train, because it's training and networking. So if you have an event with 150 people, that's not networking, that's a conference. As applications come in, we evaluate them basically on merit. What experiences do you have? Can you make this idea? And can you offer to your fellows bootcampers? And if you're accepted, you're secured a place. And we can offer up to 50 places. So the sooner you apply, the sooner you will be evaluated. And if accepted, the sooner you can, you'll be accepted.
So if you apply after the 50 places are filled, doesn't matter how great your idea is, you won't get it.
You won't get it, no. You have to wait until, if we do it next year or in 2 years, but not a chance for this year.
So where can people find the details and how do they go about applying? Is it complicated?
No. All the information is on our website, cleantechbootcamp.com, but you can also find the link from Chrysalis Leap's website and the Facebook account, all of that. It's a very simple application that basically focuses on these 3 issues: who I am and what I can offer, what do I want to gain, and why is my idea good. It's a very simple application where you just mention who you are and why you want to come to the bootcamp, why is your idea good and why it's related with cleantech and climate change, and what can you offer and what can you gain from this bootcamp.
And does it cost anything?
Yes, there are fees because we're bringing guests all the way from the US. We have 2 professors from MIT, 1 from Stanford. We have investors from Silicon Valley, from London. We have representatives from World Bank and World Meteorological Organization. The fees vary depending if you're a startup or if you're a corporate that wants to help out. All the information, though, it's on the website. And of course, there's early bird prices if you register before the end of March.
And that's taking place between the 19th and 26th of May in the old part of Nicosia, organised by Chrysalis Leap. Have a look for them online on Facebook, or you can go to chrysalisleap.com or cleantechbootcamp.com. We've been talking to Alex Charalambous. Earlier this week, the European Commission launched the Wi-Fi for EU web portal. Now, what's that? Well, it's all about giving municipalities across Europe the chance to set up Wi-Fi hotspots, free Wi-Fi hotspots, for the people who are in their municipalities. To explain how it's going to work, we're joined by the spokesman for the European Commission representation in Cyprus, Babis Medaxas. So, a great idea, Babi, because actually Cyprus, I think, lags a little behind some other places in terms of free Wi-Fi access out and about. I mean, I remember several years ago going to Chisinau in Moldova, and their central park is called Internet Alley because everybody's sitting there with access to plugs to plug in their laptops at the park benches, and they're all online.
It's a pan-European initiative, and it is up to individual cities and towns and villages to take advantage of it. What the Commission is saying is register, first of all, and then on a first-come, first-served basis, we will hand out vouchers to the value of €15,000 each for you to spend on equipment that will allow you to set a Wi-Fi hotspot in a public space, be it a library, be it a park, as you say, and then people can just walk in there and have internet access on their mobiles, on their laptops, for free.
Right, now €15,000, what does that actually buy? Does it mean it can only be used in one spot, or is it enough to mean that if the municipality buys the equipment, it could set up several?
I think the restriction is not the money, the restriction is how far can the Wi-Fi reach. So, yeah, I mean, it could be one spot, could be a small spot, it could be a large spot. But €15,000 these days buys you quite a lot of equipment. But what we need to be aware of is, of course, that it is restricted for the lifetime of this project. This is just the first call. The first applications will be assessed in May. There will be more over the next 2 years. But over the lifetime of the project, there will be one voucher per municipality.
So let's say we're in Nicosia, the Nicosia municipality applies for a voucher and it can set up its Wi-Fi hotspots. Fairly carefully, one would imagine, they need to select the exact location for the maximum impact.
Absolutely. But, I mean, in Greater Nicosia there are, of course, more than one municipalities. They can apply all for their own vouchers. So you could have, one Wi-Fi hotspot in Central Nicosia, you can have one in Strovolos, you can have one in Aglanja, and so forth and so on. It is just a way of kick-starting the process, really.
You're hoping, I presume, that once this gets off the ground, the municipalities will see the value of perhaps looking at their finances and then financing more of them on their own.
Absolutely. I think a lot will also depend on how the public reacts to it and what's the take-up. I think it will be a success. I think the vouchers will go like hotcakes, quite frankly. And we also need to be aware that there is a kind of geographical quota. Each country will get at least 15 vouchers. at least. Could be more, but at least 15, depending on supply and demand. We want to make sure that the benefits of this are spread all across Europe. They don't just go to the countries where, internet use and awareness of the benefits of public access is widespread. We want it to go everywhere, so each country will get at least 15. All of the Cyprus municipalities are eligible. This has been agreed between the government and the Commission. And now it is up to them, all their associations, to actually put in the application online on the web portal. Now the portal is open, and as I said, May is going to be the first round assessment.
Is there a limit to how many the first round assessment can give? Because you said it's a first come, first served basis.
That's right, it's 1,000. It's 1,000 vouchers in the first round.
And if you get more applications?
It will be a second round.
But that'll be a little bit further down the road.
That will be a little bit further down the road. I think all in all there's going to be five rounds of allocations of vouchers over the next 2 years.
And in Cyprus, have you had any feedback from the municipalities here? When we talk about municipalities, do we also mean village councils?
We do, yes.
Well, we've got hundreds of those.
Yeah, they can apply.
So have you had any feedback? Have
Not
we
yet.
sent
Not
in
yet.
any applications?
There is public interest. There has been interest in the media, and, I'm sure for a lot of people this is the first time they hear of it, and once the news filters through, there will be practical interest expressed. But we have set the ball rolling. Now it's up to them to go online, register their interest, and wait for the outcome.
And that's at the Wi-Fi number 4 EU. If they Google that, they'll find the relevant documentation.
That's right. Yes, it's there.
So it could soon be that across the country, not just in the bigger cities, we have Wi-Fi hotspots so that you can connect free to the internet. And giving us the details there was the spokesman of the European Commission representation in Cyprus, Babis Metaxas. If you're of my generation, well, it might hardly seem possible that a week today, Eric Clapton is going to turn 73. To mark that, and the fact that he's been, a stalwart in the music industry for so many years, there's a very special event coming up next Wednesday and Thursday. It's a tribute to Eric Clapton, and it will feature not only a film, but also his music. Joining us from the Zilla project, who are going to be providing that music, is Manolis Vorakis. Manolis, tell us about your relationship, in a sense, with Eric Clapton and why you're such a fan. And then I want the details of this undoubtedly going to be huge event.
First of all, he's one of my musical heroes, guitar heroes. I grew up listening to his music for the last 32 years, I think, and it's such a pleasure to be able to do this with a band, honor the life and music of one of the greatest popular musicians to ever walk the face of the earth. I would like to mention that none of this would have ever happened without the help of George Papageorgiou, who's the owner of Pantheon Cinema, who took it upon himself to create this event in light of the release of the latest documentary, Life in 12 Bars, honoring the life and music of Eric Clapton. It's a wonderful autobiographical documentary that's been out very recently, and this whole thing is his child. So he invited us to play in the cinema, which is also very significant to us because this is how it used to be. Music like that was played in cinemas and theaters. So the whole event is very special and unique, one-off, however you want to call it, and I'm very, very happy to be part of it.
Tell us a bit about the Zilla project and the way you interpret Clapton. It's very brave of any band to do covers of somebody who is such a huge name.
It is. It is brave, it is bold, but I feel really good about it because we're being very honest in this whole process, trying to really interpret the music. We're not going to do a sound-alike thing. Eric Clapton, for the longest part of his career, has been playing with bigger bands. Right after Cream, entering Blind Faith, then Derek and the Dominos, and his Eric Clapton band years. Then the bands grew. Cream was a trio, John Mayall was a quintet, and the Yardbirds were a quintet, but right after that, he moved into playing with many more people than Poor Four of Us. There's a lot of backing vocals going on, multiple keyboards, guitars, percussion. We're going to have none of that. So we will be interpreting the music as well as we can through
Okay, so it's not actually just go and listen to something that you hope sounds like the CDs, the cassettes even, if you go back to the Yardbirds or whatever, that people have at home. It's his music, but brought to the audience with your own interpretation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of find that it would be silly to try and do a sound-alike thing, because we would be missing Eric Clapton to begin with. So people do not get Eric Clapton, they get me on the microphone, and the guys on the instruments, me on the guitar. It's Loizos Pafidis playing bass, Nicolas Melis playing keyboards, and we got Stelios Xidias playing drums with us after a long time. So, yes, people are going to hear the music interpreted by the Zilla Project.
And how do you choose? He has such a back catalogue. How do you choose which songs to include in... How long's the performance?
The performance cannot be over an hour and a half, although we would wish it to be something like 4 hours, to extensively cover... I don't know, there's so much music. You're right, the question is... How do you choose? Some of it we choose through what can be played. For instance, what I spoke of earlier, some of the songs are so well known, done the way they were done, and like with the instrumentation, the arrangements that they were done, that they could only sound lesser if you did it without the vocals, without the right instrumentation. And as I said, it's the four of us, so part of it would be choosing the right songs that can be interpreted by a quartet. Part of it is we're trying to do a full, as possible as a chronological set list, beginning from the Yardbirds, moving on to John Mayall and the Blues Breakers, moving on to Cream, and then to the Blind Faith, to Derek and the Dominos, the various incarnations of Eric Clapton's bands.
And then what about his solo stuff? Because in...
That's what I mean. Eric Clapton band, I mean the solo stuff. When he emerged back from the heroin days to the alcohol years, but still created some amazing music. We're going up till Journeyman. And it's very tough. We need to omit a lot of great music for the sake of timely mannered set, because the documentary is amazing and it's around 2 hours long. So topping that with a break for food and beer and then getting back to the set, the whole affair should be starting at 7:30. It should be close to 4-hour ordeal. So we needed to cut off songs to make it fit, especially trying to do as much of a detailed chronological set list as we could. The songs that we're doing were carefully picked out to accommodate the chronological set list we're trying to offer, and also taking into account what can and cannot be played and interpreted.
That is Manolis Vouragis from the Zilla Project, who'll be headlining at that tribute to Eric Clapton. You'll be able to see the documentary Life in 12 Bars. There'll be a break for food and drink, and then a live tribute by the Zilla Project. It's all happening at the Pantheon Theatre in Nicosia, Wednesday the 28th and Thursday the 29th of March. That's just a day before Eric Clapton turns 73.
Keep up to date with events in Cyprus and around the world with the Cyprus News Digest.
Starting tomorrow, we have the third Medieval Nicosia Festival. It's going to run through until next Wednesday with all sorts of different things that are aiming at attracting people up to Nicosia, perhaps away from the beaches. Joining us from the Nicosia Tourism Board is Antigoni Iraklidou. She has all the details. Now, can we just go back to the first one and the idea behind that? Because it seems to be getting a little bit bigger, a little bit more all-encompassing every year.
Exactly, that was the purpose actually, to enhance it every year. The idea was originated by Titina Loizidou, a tourist guide and member of Nicosia Tourism Board, and the purpose was to promote Nicosia as a cultural destination and project its medieval past, its rich history, its rich civilization, and get people to know about Nicosia and visit the capital of Cyprus.
And how many people did you attract the first year, and how is it going up?
Well, a few hundred at the beginning, and I think more and more visited the festival the following year, and we're expecting even more this year.
And how do you promote this to the tourist destinations on the coast? Because it's only on for 4 days, so it's got to be targeted right at the people who might want to hop on a bus and come up to one of the events.
We promote it through our social media, Facebook, Instagram, through our website, through Russian media groups, and we even offer a bus. If many people from other towns want to visit the festival, we suggested that we put a bus for free and bring people to Nicosia from Limassol and Paphos and other cities, through the local media as well.
And how much interest is there actually from Cypriots? Because the other thing is, even people who live in Nicosia, we may pass some of these buildings. I wonder how many people have actually gone in and investigated the history of them.
That's the truth, not many. And luckily, Cypriots showed a lot of interest in participating in the events of the festival, and that's what gives us great pleasure actually to go on and continue organizing the event, because a lot of people want to know more about Nicosia.
Well, they can find out more, of course, tomorrow morning. Let's look at the programme, because I think it starts tomorrow with guided tours that you're going to do, I believe, in English, Greek and Russian, going around medieval Nicosia. Tell us a bit about that.
Exactly. We have 3 different groups. They're going to start from Famagusta Gate. They're going towards Ermou Street and Chrysaliniotis area, and then they're going to pass by the old walled city and Paphos Gate, and they're going to end up again in Famagusta Gate. It's a 2.5 hour long tour, so we warn people to wear comfortable shoes and bring some water with them, wear their hats. We have 3 excellent tourist guides to guide them through the tour. They're going to learn a lot of things. They're going to admire all the landmarks and points of interest with medieval references. And it's also kids-friendly, so do bring your kids as well.
So let's look at the rest of the programme and tell us a bit about something happening tomorrow afternoon.
That's a very different event, actually. We have a medieval coat of arms and music parade. We are starting again from Famagusta Gate, and we are walking with the band towards Leventis Municipal Museum of Nicosia. The parade is organized by the Symphonic Orchestra of Stavrolos Municipality and European University Cyprus. And at the Leventis Municipal Museum at 5 o'clock, at the end of the parade, we're going to have a short music performance with medieval references in the museum's yard.
And let's move on to the rest of the programme.
Yes. On Sunday night, Orchestra Commandaria is going to give a classical music concert at the Holy Cross Church. Then from Sunday to Tuesday, it's the annual Othello's Island Conference, which takes place at the Centre of Visual Arts and Research, with numerous interesting lectures from academics from all over the world. On Tuesday afternoon, you have the chance to know about the history of Nicosia, the medieval history of Nicosia, through the eyes of the guides at the Leventis Museum. So it's the history of Nicosia through the museum. On Tuesday night, we have a special theatre performance, The Farce of the Fisherman, again based on medieval history. And on Wednesday night, Anna Marangou is going to talk about Giulio Savoniano, the architect of the Nicosia medieval wars, and its correspondence.
And we should say that last one's in Greek, but pretty well everything else is multilingual or certainly understandable by everybody. Mm-hmm. And this is all free?
All free, yes.
Excellent. So that's the third Medieval Nicosia Festival, running from tomorrow, the 24th, through until Wednesday, the 28th of March. You can find all the details online. Just Google Medieval Nicosia Festival. Well, that about wraps up this edition of the Cyprus News Digest. Many thanks for your company. Hope you'll join me next week. Till we meet again, take care and God bless. Bye-bye now.